Professional wrestling. Famously, it is not music, but perhaps controversially, it is entertaining. From diehard fans to casual followers to the people who think The Undertaker is a job and not an undead biker, professional wrestling stands on its own little planet of entertainment, sport, and storytelling. I could wax poetic about how wrestling is much more than just big, oily men grappling and tugging each other, but today I wanted to peel into the weird intersection of wrestling and music. Because as ridiculous as it sounds, a lot of folks who make a living throwing themselves around and incurring bodily harm also have softer, white underbellies where expression means more than just your ring attire. No, it means making jams with your friends, no matter how good or how absolutely fucking terrible it might be. To save this video from being too long, let's just take a look at some wrestlers who have tried to make music, emphasis on try, and wrestlers who actually did a pretty good job. But did they need to? My name is Jerry Bees, and this is why wrestlers should probably stop making music. So we're going to start with one of the biggest names in professional wrestling history, Hulk Hogan. Odds are, if you've never watched wrestling, you still know who this guy is. There is no doubt that Hulk Hogan was instrumental in getting pro wrestling into the pop culture zeitgeist, but it's just a shame considering he was a piece of shit. I don't care that he's dead. Hulk Hogan was a lying racist who only ever looked out after himself, but he did make music, which is why he's in this video. Hulk Hogan, or Terry Bollea, was actually a pretty learned bass guitarist in his youth and well into his adulthood. Before his wrestling career, he was in a band called Ruckus, and while there's no recording of this band that we know of, there is this picture of the band from the 1970s. Hogan would pursue wrestling instead of music, given that he was a genetic freak, but his musical acumen warranted some pretty neat promotional potential, as during his rise in wrestling in Japan, he recorded a 3-song EP. Hogan is credited on bass and vocals, but the vocals are just spoken word.
Accent boomba is your fate. Just one accent, it's too late.
And those are, in fact, his vocals. Are they nice? Well, I'm not sure I'm qualified to say. Once he reached the World Wrestling Federation, as it was once known, he was the hottest fucking act on the planet. He did perform bass in this video for Stand Back featuring Vince McMahon on vocals, and let's just say you should be glad I'd get a copyright flag for playing the song, because as a wrestling fan, no one should listen to this. Hulk Hogan would then go on to feature on a Green Jelly cover of a Gary Glitter song called I'm the Leader of the Gang, which is a sentence I was absolutely mortified to speak. I would say the zenith of Hulk Hogan's music career would be the events that never even took place. In 1995, Hulk would form the Wrestling Boot Band and would release a full-length album called Hulk Rules. To witness this album is a testament to the enduring human spirit in the face of utter cringe, but the standout track, without question, is Hulkster in Heaven. As the story goes, it was written about a Make-A-Wish kid who was terminally ill. He was invited by Hogan to sit ringside at a 1992 wrestling event in the United Kingdom, but when Hogan went out that night, the seat was empty and Hogan knew that the child had passed on. What an absolutely heartwarming sentiment to dedicate a song to a child who was taken from us much too soon. Except Hulk didn't wrestle in an event in the UK in 1992, and the kid didn't exist, probably. Hulk Hogan probably made this whole thing up. Oh, you want more Hulk Hogan music lies? Okay. Hulk Hogan is the only person who has ever lived that attests that Hulk Hogan auditioned for Metallica after Jason Newsted left the band. Oddly enough, I think this is one of the only Hulk lies that he admits was a lie. I mean, fake it till you make it, I guess, but Jesus. Hulk also tried to be the bassist for the Rolling Stones and, of course, never got a call back. Which, like, between wanting to be in Metallica and the Rolling Stones and being the most famous wrestler in history, what more did you want? Is anything enough? Did he want an easier divorce? Maybe. Did he want 24-inch pythons inside Bubba the Love Sponge's wife? Definitely. Okay, moving on in this list of questionable decisions, we have Jeff Hardy's music career. If you're between the ages of 20 and 30 years old, you may know Jeff Hardy as the guy who you or your cousin was obsessed with when they were 9 years old. You know, you do one of these things and then you jump off the fridge and break your tailbone in honor of this high-flying freak. Jeff brought a lot of his own creativity to his ring presentation and his moveset, but also being a fan of drugs, it's not really a surprise that he delved into music. Now, I've done videos about bad music and why it should be celebrated, and as much as I love Jeff Hardy, and I am so proud that it seems to be that he's sober now, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking making music for his band, Parox Gen Y. Jeff is such a strange guy, so I shouldn't be surprised that the band name is just so fucking ridiculous, but I can only describe the music as trying to be like a higher level grunge alt rock thing, and all I get from his vocals is that he probably should have just stayed with guitar or drumming or literally anything that wasn't singing. Take a page from the Hulkster's book, Jeff. Spoken word will get the point across just fine. He'll also post these serenades on Instagram.
I have to dream in the scheme down in the ruts, but the doubt was blue, but alone it held the clue snapping out of it with compliments. Qualified for love, and I'm ready to go deeper than I even know.
Like, it's endearing. It really is. I'm such a fan of Jeff's, but I cannot abide this. As his brother Matt would say,
Delete! 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 Delete!
moving on, I know it is hard sometimes to separate art from artist, and as I've said in various forums on this channel, I probably do that more than I really should, and in this case, we have Chris Jericho. We're getting into maybe some lesser known wrestlers here, but Chris Jericho has been around the pop culture space here and there hosting various television events, but he is really one of the most talented and accomplished wrestlers to ever do it. Notice how I didn't say respected, but more on that in a moment. But anyway, his ring skills along with his mic skills were rock solid for a lot of his career. But his second love is music, and he formed the band Fozzy in 1999. Chris is a big fan of Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, and a lot of those other 80s hair metal acts, so that's where a lot of the energy in Fozzy's music comes from, but it isn't exactly the most riveting shit you'll ever hear. That is, until their 7th album, Judas, was released in 2017, and the title track, guys, it kind of rips. Like it's genuinely pretty good, I think. 18 years into their career, they released the most successful album in terms of sales and reception, as the titular track reached #1 on the Octane charts, and the album peaked at #7 on the US hard rock charts. Like, they finally cracked the code. That was a pun for all the wrestling fans watching. Thank you. Yeah. Jericho is honestly one of my favorite wrestlers, and the song Judas actually rips. So what's the problem? Well, remember when I said separating the whole art from artist thing? Well, let's just say that Jericho was in full support of his wife being in Washington, D.C. one particular day. January 6th, maybe? Look, this isn't a politics channel, but yeah, Chris and I wouldn't really agree on why that was a bad day, or if a certain real estate mogul would be a good president or not. So, yeah, Judas, good song. Maybe check that one out. Closing out on some of the more notable wrestlers in this video, we have John Cena. Apologies if you can't see him, but there's no doubt that Cena was the most popular wrestler of his era, as he breached into the mainstream as an actor, and it also helps to be the center of one of the greatest memes of all time. But before he donned the ball cap and became invisible, he was just kind of a run-of-the-mill buff boy wrestler with no real gimmick. I'm not counting the prototype. It's ridiculous. If you don't know who the prototype is in the John Cena universe, you can Google it for yourself. It was stupid. But one day, Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of famous creep Vince McMahon, heard John Cena freestyle rapping, and his Doctor of Thugonomics character was born. To make a long story short, this gimmick would become so popular that not only did Cena record his own theme song to come out to the ring to, but he would go on to record a full-length album called My Time Is Now. Now, I have not listened to this album in its entirety. Let me know if you want me to react to that album on the channel, but I've heard a good swath of John Cena songs, and actually, they're pretty good. I mean, it's no G-Unit, but Cena has a decent flow and some beyond respectable bars. One lyric in the song Basic Thugonomics is, "Two-faced rappers walk away with 4 shiners." I mean, that's cold. You can't tell me that's not cold as fuck. Cena hasn't recorded another album since My Time Is Now, but that's also to his advantage, maybe legacy-wise. If John Cena fails to record another album for the rest of his life, he will remain the only artist in the history of mankind to have a platinum debut album and never drop another album again. His record is perfect. Dropped the certified banger, then dipped, and then did the Fred movie, where he played Fred's dad. The 2010s were really, really weird. Now, those were all wrestlers that any non-wrestling fan might know, but there's a few more wrestlers with music projects worth noting. We have God's Hate, a hardcore band fronted by Brody King from AEW. Now, I peeled into it, and it's like, fine. It's not really my style of hardcore, but also neither is the hardcore wrestling in AEW, so I guess that tracks. They've also fallen into controversy politically with some pro-immigration enforcement comments, but it really seems like the thing that sticks the biggest thorn into people with this band is that they hardly make music. Like, people genuinely fuck with this band, but they're too busy selling overpriced t-shirts apparently. At least that's the general scheme of what's been going on. If you're a God's Hate fan, let me know. Wrestler Mark Andrews is in a pop punk band called Junior, which isn't the worst thing I've heard, but it's still pop punk. And for me, unless you're Sum 41 or like 80% of Less Than Jake songs, I just can't get with it. Lita, who wrestled in a faction with the aforementioned Jeff Hardy, formed a band when she left WWE called the Luchagors, and it's really trying to call upon all the things that made the Misfits amazing, but without Glenn Danzig trying to fight everyone, and that oddly makes it not as good. Then we have Zicky Dice, or Nick Zappo, with his band Heart to Heart. It's pop punk. Wait, really? Why are all of these wrestlers making pop punk songs? Is it because punk is easy? Probably. Definitely. But also probably. So what have we learned today, children? We've learned that if you're an entertainer, you often want to entertain in as many ways as possible. Think of the OG, Dick Van Dyke. Bro could act, sing, dance, be funny, dramatic. He has it all. Wait, has? How old is Dick Van Dyke? The point is, you wouldn't think these often big, burly men have softer, more contemplative sides of themselves, but they do. Just sometimes. Most times, it doesn't work for me, but what about you? Do you find that most wrestler musicians are overlooked, or are you just like me and you think Judas is a banger, and we should just leave it at that? I know it's been a second since I've done a commentary video, but I got some reactions out now on Patreon and stuff that you can go check out only if you want to. Although it would be really funny if you didn't want to and did it anyway. But with all that said, I've been Jerry Bees. You've been awesome. Take it easy.
Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog.